I'm Mike Sullivan, a 24-year-old bachelor currently employed at a popular department store in downtown Manhattan. It was a typical day off for me, and I found myself nursing a pounding hangover, contemplating the idea of crawling back into bed. However, my day took an unexpected turn when my smartphone began to ring, and the caller turned out to be my boss, the department manager. Confused, I answered, and my boss greeted me with enthusiasm, saying, "Mike, good morning. As promised, I'll pick you up this evening." Perplexed, I wondered about the promise he was referring to. He continued, "You're so funny. Didn't you mention at yesterday's party that you would meet my daughter for a date and even consider living together?" His words caught me off guard, and I struggled to comprehend what was happening. Before I could respond, my boss said, "Talk to you later," and abruptly hung up. I decided to clear my head with some water and reflect on the events of the previous night. I had an uneasy feeling about the company's drinking party, as I had recently gone through a painful breakup with Layla, a beautiful 22-year-old model who had cheated on me. Despite my deep feelings for her, we had decided to part ways after her heartless words about finding other men left me devastated. I had drowned my sorrows in alcohol that night, and my memories were hazy, but it seemed I had shared my heartbreak with my boss. A coworker's message asking if I was okay and why I had discussed with my boss triggered my realization of the situation. In my inebriated state, I had agreed to meet my boss's daughter for a date. My boss had informed me that his daughter was turning 37 and eager to get married. He believed she had taken a liking to me when she saw me at the store. With retirement approaching, he was eager to see his grandchildren and suggested that I meet his daughter for a date. He even proposed that we try living together for a month to get to know each other better. Regrettably, I had raised my glass and agreed to this arrangement. Now, my boss was coming to pick me up in the evening, and we were headed to a fancy restaurant for me to meet his daughter for the first time. After dinner, we would go straight to her fully furnished apartment, and my boss would move my belongings there. I was encouraged to dress smartly to enhance my charm. As we drove to the restaurant, my boss kept expressing his confidence that we would get along well. Despite my preference for younger women, given my recent breakup, I considered giving dating an older woman a try. Perhaps my boss's daughter would be beautiful, and his enthusiasm had me intrigued. However, when we arrived at the restaurant, my hopes were swiftly crushed. The woman waiting for me was quite different from my usual type. She was plump, whereas I preferred slender women. I greeted her politely, saying, "Nice to meet you, I'm Grace." She wore a frilly floral print dress that seemed oddly mismatched, given her pitch black hair and the light colors of her attire. Her face lacked striking beauty, and she appeared to be her age. I admit I was somewhat disappointed. However, deep down, I remained polite, and we exchanged greetings as my boss introduced us. He left us to our own devices, and I found myself pondering what one talks about with a woman over a decade my senior. As I stood there, unsure of how to proceed, Grace, as she introduced herself, slowly began to speak. She said, "I'm sorry to involve you in this complicated situation, but don't worry, I understand my place too." Her unexpected words took me aback, and I stood there, wide-eyed, as Grace turned a gentle smile in my direction. "My father is desperate to get me married off as soon as possible. But you see, with my looks and my poor social skills, I'm embarrassed to say I have no experience in love, so I've actually given up on the idea of getting married myself." I listened attentively to Grace's words, feeling a surge of sympathy for her. It seemed that her father, my boss, was the one in a rush. "So, I have a favor to ask," Grace continued. "Would you be willing to live with me for just 1 month? Of course, we would have separate bedrooms, and I'll cover all the living expenses. You're free to do as you please in my apartment. If I can prove to my father that I'm not cut out for cohabitation, he should stop nagging me. I'll make sure that you don't suffer any disadvantage at work if our relationship doesn't work out, so don't worry." Initially, I was determined to refuse such a proposal, but after hearing her story, my perspective began to shift. "All right," I finally said. "It's clear that your father truly loves you, Grace. Considering the circumstances, I'll agree to this." Upon hearing my agreement, Grace's eyes sparkled with joy. "Thank you, I'm really happy." "Oh, but I must say, I truly do find you wonderful, Mike. Let's make the most of the next month. I'm looking forward to it." As I got to know Grace better, I came to think of her as a kind and gentle person. She might have been socially awkward, but I believe she truly had a kind heart. Of course, she wasn't exactly my type, and while I felt guilty for harboring feelings towards me, the chances of anything romantic happening between us were practically non-existent. And so, we embarked on a 1-month trial of living together. My boss was overjoyed, exclaiming, "They're going for it." However, we had planned to end it in a month with the agreed upon excuse of, "We just didn't click." In reality, though, living with Grace turned out to be nothing short of comfortable. At first, the age gap and our lack of common topics of conversation concerned me. But one day I learned something surprising about her that changed our dynamics. "Those flowers are beautiful," I remarked, pointing to the small white flower arrangement adorning the windowsill. Grace shook her head, a hint of pride in her voice. "No, I made that." "You made that, Grace?" I didn't know much about her, but it turns out Grace was actually a flower arrangement instructor. As someone with a keen interest in fashion and art, working at a department store, I was intrigued by her work. "What was your inspiration for this arrangement?" I asked. Grace's eyes sparkled as she explained her creation. "This white flower is called a snowdrop. Isn't it gorgeous? I imagined a silvery world and used a snowdrop as the main element to express the sparkling beauty of winter." Hearing her explain her unique worldview, I found Grace incredibly fascinating. Chatting about the arrangements became so enjoyable that time flew by. Initially, we planned to have separate meals, but I found myself wanting to spend more time with her without even realizing it. Grace was quite skilled in household chores, especially cooking, which she could have pursued professionally. Initially, we planned to split household chores, but with Grace being an early riser, the house was always spotless by the time I woke up. Feeling guilty for not contributing more, I started to help out more in the kitchen. Living with Grace turned out to be an eye-opening experience. Despite our differences and the initial hesitation, I discovered a kind, talented, and fascinating person living beneath her unassuming exterior. I had offered to help Grace with the household chores, but she insisted that I was the one who had imposed this living arrangement. In the end, apart from doing my laundry and keeping my room tidy, Grace took care of all the chores. Living in such a consistently clean and organized house with well-balanced and delicious meals was pure comfort. At work, my boss frequently inquired about how things were going. "How's living with my daughter, Mike?" he asked. "It's really enjoyable. Grace is excellent with household chores." "I'm truly grateful," I replied. One day, my boss remarked, "That's good to hear. She's always saying love is impossible for someone like me." My boss continued, "She's our precious daughter, but she always puts herself down." Hearing my boss's story, an idea sparked in my mind. I had been wanting to express my gratitude to Grace, who always prepared delicious meals for us, inspired me to create a special gift in my own way. I found a piece of fabric that would suit her and decided to use my sewing skills to craft a custom-made dress from scratch. Sewing had always been a secret hobby of mine, a skill I had acquired from my mother, who had been a sewing instructor. Currently, I manage the fashion floor at a department store, so I felt confident in my abilities to create the dress. I needed to take Grace's measurements, and when I told her about my plan, she was thrilled. "Oh, thank you. I'll leave the measurements to you then, Mike." With nervousness gripping me, I slowly extended my arms toward Grace. It was the first time I had been so close to her, and my heart pounded with excitement. "Well, she's really babe," I thought to myself. Grace's size was indeed much larger than the average person, but I believed that her larger frame allowed her to pull off certain designs better than others. With that conviction, I gifted her a handmade dress. This is for me," Grace exclaimed, her eyes widening in surprise. The dress, made from glossy black fabric adorned with large white rose patterns, suited Grace perfectly. Over time, I had come to realize that she looked better in bold patterns and unique styles rather than cute, frilly clothing. Her larger frame was ideal for such fashion choices. "Grace, you look stunning," I complimented her. "If you'd like, may I do your makeup as well?" I asked. Over the years working at a department store, I had acquired some basic makeup skills, a job my sister, a hairstylist, had recommended. Following the guidance of a makeup book, I applied cosmetics to Grace's face. She typically favored natural makeup, but this time I chose to use bright red lipstick and deep black eyeliner. As I had expected, the intense makeup complemented her raven black hair perfectly. "No way, I don't even recognize myself," Grace exclaimed, studying her reflection in the mirror. "You really pull off this unique style well. This is a first for me, but I think I like it. I used to only wear frilly, floral clothing because my mother liked it. I always hated how I looked. I thought makeup was pointless, but it really does make a difference, doesn't it?" I nodded in agreement. Yes, this kind of style isn't for everyone, so it's really special when someone can pull it off like you can. Please have confidence. You're incredibly attractive, Grace. As soon as those words left my mouth, I felt my cheeks heat up. It wasn't flattery. I genuinely felt it. Grace, standing before me, was truly beautiful. I had never seen her in this light before. Mike, thank you, she said, giving me a sweet smile. Her joy-filled face made my heart swell. Age didn't matter anymore, and only 3 weeks into living together, I had genuinely developed strong feelings for her. Initially, I had been put off by her larger size, but I had grown accustomed to it, and, above all, I was entirely smitten with her personality. Before the trial period was over, I knew I needed to express my feelings to Grace. I resolved to take her shopping on my next day off, where we would look for clothing that suited her new style. I had made up my mind that it was time to confess my feelings to her. Amidst all this, I received a message from my ex, Layla, saying she wanted to get back together. In the past, I would have gladly accepted her invitation, but not now. I replied to Layla with clarity, I can't, Layla. Grace is the only one in my heart now. I had resolved to forget the past and look forward to tomorrow's date with Grace. However, on that fateful day, something unexpected occurred. As we strolled down the bustling shopping district, we suddenly bumped into Layla. I was taken by surprise, and Grace looked at Layla, clearly puzzled. Layla, more traditionally attractive than Grace, sized her up with an intrusive stare. Unfortunately, Layla's demeanor did little to enhance her beauty. She began with hurtful words, "Oh, Mike, is that you? Have you lost your mind since I dumped you? You always liked slim, beautiful women like me, right? Walking around with a large, older woman like her, your taste." Layla's cutting remarks left Grace stunned, and Layla came closer to me with a sultry tone, saying, "Hey, Mike, wake up. Let's start over. I'd be way better than that old lady." I couldn't hold back any longer, and I interrupted Layla, my voice surprisingly loud. "Don't disrespect the person I care about even more than I had expected." Layla and Grace were both taken aback by my sudden change in demeanor. Their eyes were wide with surprise. Grace is the most important person in the world to me. I continued, my voice resonant. She is far more wonderful to me than someone who believes others like me. That's how much I love her. Even if it's you, I won't let her. Layla, clearly taken aback by the strong response, muttered a final remark before her mouth. Whatever, that would be the old lady said seriously. Realizing that people in the town had my attention, I took Grace's hand and guided her to a quiet room where we could have some privacy. Grace was shedding a waterfall of tears, clearly hurt by Layla's words. I knew we needed to find a peaceful place for her to calm down. As we sat on a bench together, I first apologized to Grace. "Grace, I'm sorry for what happened earlier. My ex was speaking out of line. You shouldn't take it to heart." Grace looked up at me with teary eyes, and her voice trembled as she spoke. "No, it's not that. I'm happy. I've always hated the way I look, and I thought no one would ever like me. But I was really happy when you said that, Mike. I've liked you since the first time I saw you." Overwhelmed with happiness, Grace reached out to me, and I gently pulled her into an embrace. "I love you too, Grace. You're really beautiful," I assured her. As I caressed her back, Grace grasped my hand and replied, "Yes, even if other people put me down, if you say that to me, Mike, that's enough. Enough for me." Our journey took an unexpected turn, but I had successfully conveyed my feelings to her, and we officially began dating. We shared our plans with my boss, revealing our intention to get married eventually. My boss was delighted with the news. Yay, I couldn't be happier about my lovely daughter and adorable subordinate getting together. And so, after a year of dating, we registered our marriage successfully. Currently, we are busy preparing for our wedding ceremony. Grace had lost a significant amount of weight since we first met, so we had to create a new wedding dress for her. My boss mused, "Grace has become so beautiful since meeting Mike." He flipped through a flower arrangement magazine. Grace had built up a remarkable career as a flower arrangement instructor known for her chic and stylish designs. Grace, now wearing the resized black dress I had given her, looked several times more beautiful than when we first met. Love is a powerful thing, isn't it? My boss commented drily. After meeting Grace, I was able to heal from the heartbreak and experience the joy of love again. No matter what lies ahead, if it's with her, we can overcome it together. With that conviction in my heart, I showed my boss a beaming smile. Our love story continued to blossom, and with each passing day, I discovered more reasons to cherish the bond between Grace and me. We built a life together, filled with shared dreams and aspirations. Grace's talent in flower arrangement flourished, and she began to teach classes, inspiring others with her unique designs. Her creativity and passion were a source of inspiration for me, and it was a joy to see her bloom as an artist. As for my career, I continued to excel in the fashion department of the department store, and Grace's support and encouragement were instrumental in my success. She had an eye for style and often helped me pick out outfits, which earned me compliments and recognition at work. Our love and collaboration extended beyond our personal lives into our professional ones, making us a strong team in every aspect. Our wedding day was a magical celebration of our love. Surrounded by friends and family, we exchanged vows and promises of forever. The black dress I had originally made for Grace was now a symbol of her beauty, strength, and resilience. Her radiant smile as she walked down the aisle made my heart swell with pride and love. We honeymooned in a picturesque location, reveling in the joy of being together and exploring new adventures. Whether it was strolling hand in hand through charming villages, savoring local cuisines, or simply enjoying each other's company, our bond only deepened with every shared experience. Over the years, our love only grew stronger. We faced challenges together, supported each other's dreams, and found solace in each other's arms. Grace's journey to a healthier lifestyle was not only about her physical appearance, but also her mental and emotional well-being. Her newfound self-confidence was a testament to her resilience and determination. Our love story served as a reminder that true beauty lies within, and love has the power to transform lives. We continued to defy societal expectations and norms, showing that love knows no boundaries or limitations. Age, appearance, or past experiences couldn't stand in the way of the deep connection and love we shared. With Grace by my side, I learned that love could heal even the deepest wounds and that every day with her was a blessing. We shared laughter, dreams, and countless moments of happiness, and the world saw two people who were genuinely in love. Our journey was a testament to the power of love and its ability to conquer all obstacles, and we were excited about what the future held for us together.